Officially in the home stretch of the spring split, which is 2 weeks left. Let's look at the standings. In first place, you guessed it, is SK Gaming. Right behind them in second are Fnatic and H2K. Gambit is now comfortably in fourth, with the Copenhagen Wolves and the Unicorns of Love tied for fifth. Now, what does that mean for playoffs? With 4 games left for each team, it is still a little too soon to call, but here's what we know. SK Gaming, Fnatic, and now H2K, as you see them there highlighted, they have locked in a spot at the spring playoffs. But the other 3 seats are still up for grabs. Every team, including Meet Your Makers, can still avoid relegation and even make playoffs. But with just 4 games left to play, every win counts. I was actually a little surprised, but even MYM still has a chance to make it in. Full EU LCS, so much on the board in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. People are always talking about how MYM and Giants have to look behind themselves and basically have to get out of that last spot, but they still have the option to move up, which is great for them. And if MYM would make it, for example, it would be a great storyline too.
Yeah, because they've showed that they can get those wins with their new support coming in there as well. And since the Fantasy LCS ends with the regular season, there are only 2 more weeks to top the standings in your own league. The good news is that Gambit's Cabochard is here to help. After picking up 12 kills, 3 assists, and a triple kill just minutes ago against Giants Gaming, he leads the league in fantasy points for the day with a total of 34. No surprise there.
Yeah. That dude killed a lot of people.
He certainly did. There were 5 other players stepping up this week, pulling out all the stops with the playoffs inside, earning the title of OP. First one, we got to mention him, Fox, definitely shining the couple of 2 days, 17, 5, 11 in 2 games.
Yeah, even when a lot of things went wrong for SK, he was able to pick up the slack and definitely did a great job at performing.
Yeah, the second one we want to highlight is Freeze, the AD carry for the Copenhagen Wolves. 6-3-8 as Kalista in the win versus Elements yesterday, although he got a little too aggressive with his lead, but we love that. That's the way he loves to play.
Yeah, that triple kill button basically set up for the whole game and basically allowed themselves to stall for the mid to late game where they exceed in comparison to Elements.
Talking about Elements, our next OP player, even though they didn't manage to get a win on the board, is Froggen. 8-2-2, a 5 KDA as Zed today versus the Unicorns of Love. Might seem strange, but we called him out before the game, and he did step up for his team. He picked that assassin, he dominated his lane opponent, and he tried to set it up.
Exactly, he showed what I wanted out of him. He showed the promise to actually be aggressive, actually try to go for the play, and try to be the one that is deciding or making or breaking the game. And his Zed was superb. He played mechanically perfect in teamfights, but his teammates didn't answer the call this time, which is sad. But in this case, we have to give Froggen the nod because I called him out, and we have to give props where it's due.
Yep, absolutely, and props where props are due. Forgiven is in there once again in the OP, and why not? 9 KDA, 457 GPM in 2 games. He's just unstoppable.
Yeah, he's always a solid. We talk about Dyrus and Oda Amna being solid rocks in the top lane, but Forgiven is basically like a solid rock in the bottom lane. He will always get the farm. He will always be efficient in the mid to late game teamfights, and he's always going to be there. And you always have to account for him.
And finally, a support is our last OP, Kasing from H2K. Incredible stat line, but more just the general influence on the team. The guys just said it here. Here on Kasing, probably it's all Kasing.
Yeah, no communication needed besides the word Kasing. Because that guy, ever since he came in, he basically made H2K better. I was kind of critical at first when I saw him, because I thought it was just like a fluke, but it's 8 wins in a row is no fluke anymore.
Nope, absolutely not. Fantastic there by H2K. But of an OP5, there can only be one MVP. With 17 kills, 11 assists, and a KDA of 5.6 in 2 days, our most valuable player for Week 7 of the Spring Split is SK Gaming's Fox. Again, credit where credit is due. He had a slow start to the season. He wouldn't always be the absolute carry because Forgiven would be there, but these 2 days, he was great.
Yeah, exactly. His whole team was struggling. They were unable to have any kind of early game control in the first game they played this week. But Fox, due to his superb LeBlanc and basically superb team fighting, he was able to pick up the slack, basically set up his team for kills, give Forgiven maybe a couple of nods, basically give him free farm, allow him to his pressure on the bottom side of the map, and basically allow his team to come back into the game, which is something people didn't expect out of Fox because they were always critical where they thought of SK as a 2-threat, 3-threat team, but not a 4-threat team, which Fox brings to the table.
Yeah, looking super scary. Congrats on Fox for that MVP. And with things wrapped up here in Berlin, Week 7 of the LCS will continue in North America tomorrow with Team Dignitas versus Coast. Then it's Gravity versus Counter Logic Gaming, and later on in the day, Team Impulse will face Cloud9. That action all starts at 9 p.m. Central European Time. That is noon Pacific. Now, meanwhile, we'll be dark here in Berlin next week as myself, Deficio, and Quickshot travel to Poland for the 2015 Intel Extreme Masters World Championship in Katowice, which runs from March 12th through the 15th. Super excited for that one. And meanwhile, the European LCS will continue in 2 weeks on March 19th back here in Berlin as Elements faces H2K Gaming. The Copenhagen Wolves will take on the Unicorns of Love in a battle for 5th place, and Roccat will take on the 2nd place Fnatic.
Yeah, every game is going to count. We have CW still basically evening up on the 5th place. They still have to secure that playoff spot, and every team, as we said already, they still have the chance to move up, and it's going to be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, such an interesting couple of weeks coming up. That all starts at 6 p.m. Central European Time, and until Daylight Savings Time in Germany catches up to you folks stateside, 10 a.m. Pacific. With week 7 of the book on the books and just 10 games left in the spring split, that's all from us. Until next time, I'd like to extend our thanks to Amazing for joining us on the desk once again. Best of luck in the Challenger Series. Maybe we'll see you on stage in the summer split.
Maybe. Okay, we'll keep it a maybe.
We will see. And of course, on behalf of myself and the entire European LCS team, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you back here soon.